Special welcome to another podcast. Today you are in for a good treat. I am so excited because the guest that I have here is a teacher who is utilizing artificial intelligence. So today's topic is really around artificial intelligence and education. And as you know, I am deeply passionate about education because I too used to be a teacher many moons away. But the beauty is that Cleopas is a practitioner. He is a practitioner. He's a teacher who is deeply embedded in artificial intelligence and is using artificial intelligence on a daily basis. Cleopas, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's absolutely exciting to have you join us from the United States of America. And I know that you come from Zambia, but you work in the USA. Please, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the career journey that you have walked to get where you are today?
Okay, so Cleopas Zulu, as you have said, is a profession-trained science teacher who has a degree in chemistry education and a master's in curriculum studies. My teaching journey started in 2015 when I was deployed in Muchinga province, Chinsali district. I was deployed at a school called Mulakupikwade Secondary School. So there I taught science for the 5 years of my teaching experience in Zambia before the government advertised that the Seychelles government wanted some teachers. So I took up the opportunity of applying to become one of the teachers in the Seychelles. Then I was picked and relocated to Seychelles. So in Seychelles, that's where my interest in diving into AI started, because I realized that uh, the students there had greater opportunities, access to technology, and I saw that this technology can be used to advance education. So I decided to start learning more about how technology and education can be used, how AI and education can be used, and eventually I became very much interested in artificial intelligence and education. On top of that, I am a family man. I have two daughters and a wife. So this also puts me in a position that as I continue learning, I like interacting with the family, sharing this knowledge of what I'm learning about AI and how it is transforming education. In fact, my wife always says, "Where I see AI, I see you," because when it comes to AI, that podcasting or that seminar, you would like to attend it. So that's how my progress of getting interested into AI started. Then, because of this progress which I was making in artificial intelligence, I was now given an opportunity to teach in the US, where I'm now currently teaching science as the subject which I'm offering.
Beautiful, beautiful. What a colorful career you've had. It's a very exciting journey that you're on, and always love to hear that. You are a family man. Yeah, that just showcases that it's everyday people that are actually dealing with artificial intelligence. I love to also just position myself that I'm an everyday mother, okay? That just happens to be working in the AI space. So the whole idea is just to humanize these AI conversations because people are also thinking, people are doing AI almost like not as human as everybody is. And our push really is to let and encourage as many people as possible everyday people to get involved with AI, because AI is the future. As we can see now, AI is also starting to drive education. So I would love us now to get into the AI and education conversation. So before we started recording, you were just telling me how you've been utilizing AI into and integrating AI into your teaching, everyday teaching activities. Do you just want to tell us more in detail how you are integrating artificial intelligence into your classroom teaching as you teach your chemistry or whatever subject that you teach?
Okay. So there are a lot of opportunities in which I'm integrating AI in education. So I'll talk about a minimum of four of them. The first one is lesson planning. So I use AI to plan my lessons. And one might say, why do you go for AI to plan your lessons? Well, it's because I don't want to spend a lot of time in planning while I can spend more time in preparing the actual lesson. So I want to reduce the time I can spend in planning and focus more in preparing the actual lesson. Not only that, the AI prepared lesson has a lot of potential in that if you give AI the information that the students I'll be teaching have these abilities and have these disabilities, have this potential, AI will be able to analyze what best teaching strategies can be offered to such a classroom. Then you as a teacher, you are now going to look at how I can apply the information which has been suggested into the classroom. So you are not focusing on the actual writing of the lesson, you are focusing on the implementation of that lesson. In fact, for me, that is what I feel is an effective lesson planning. So I use AI to do that. Secondly, I use AI when it comes to assessing learners. So AI is able to assess learners in an effective way. So I'm able to program the system which we are using currently, which is Magic AI, to come up with the assessment that can be used in my class. And AI is able to analyze that work which I've given to the students. It's able to bring out the results. It's able to show me the work and each question which is giving the learners problems. Not only that, AI is also able to do behavior management detection. Of course, in my school, we don't yet have that system, but this system basically utilize AI to see whose student is paying attention and who is not paying attention. So such a model is very effective because it is able to give you information about the student. Last but not least, AI has helped me to individualize learning. So as I have already said, if in my class I know that there can be fast learners and learners who need more time to learn, I can individualize the work through AI. So I'll design work which is for the fast learners and work which is for the slow learners. But all in all, both the fast learners and the slow learners will be given the opportunity to learn just because AI is able to help me to do such works.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for me, I keep saying AI, for the first time, has been able to empower teachers to be able to meet each child at their point of need. Remember, when we do our teacher training, that is the essence of teaching, right? The essence of teaching is for you as a teacher to be able to individualize the learning experience for a learner. But teachers are not able to do that because you don't have capacity, you don't have time, and you don't have the resources as well. I mean, if you're sitting with 40 kids in class, to be able to create work that is suited to each individual learner, that becomes difficult. That's a lot of work on a teacher. But now we see that with AI, that that possibility has actually been unlocked. And for me, teaching has become more exciting. So I am really, really excited to hear, that you are leveraging AI to be able to offer individualized learning, to be able to meet the child at their point of need. If somebody is a fast learner, they can go ahead on their own pace. With the help of leveraging AI as a teacher. If somebody, needs more extra time to be able to grasp a concept, as a teacher, you're able to use these tools. I am very interested in you talking about, the behavioral model that you talked about. Do you just want to speak to how this behavioral AI model is being used in class to detect behavioral activities for the children or for the learners?
Okay, so this model utilizes a camera which is able to detect what is happening in the classroom. So as the students are in the classroom, this system has been trained in a way that it's able to know who is concentrating on the work and who is fidgeting around. So depending on the face of the students, how they are, the system is able to know to say such and such a student is not paying attention. So when you look at the generated information from that system, you are able to see that according to the AI system, such student A did not pay attention to my lesson today. So you as a teacher might not really know that even if the student is pretending to be concentrating, when you look back, the student is engaging in other activities, but the camera is doing the work for you. The student's behavior is being picked, and you are able to see what that student has been doing when you want to analyze the behavior of your classroom. So this is how this system is able to work. And of course, it is being developed, and people are eager to see how even more information can be generated from such a model.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's now talk about the AI tools that are being used in classroom. We did discuss quite a few before we started the recording. Do you just want to dive into the particular AI tools that you as a teacher personally use in class and how you use them?
Okay, so I'll start with the first one, which I usually use, which is Magic AI. This is basically an AI model which has been trained for teachers. Now, how does this model work? This model is able to help you to come up with lesson plans, lesson presentations. It is also able to help you to assess learners in whatever way you would want the learners to be assessed. So this AI system has been trained so well that it's also able to generate suggested questions that you can give learners at the end of the lesson. So I'll give you an example. If you have a PDF document, or you have a video which you'll be showing in your class, or you have any work which you will be showing in your class. Now you think of what are the ways in which I can assess my learners after finishing this video or this document which we'll be analyzing. So by feeding this system, this document or the link to the YouTube channel or the YouTube video which you want to show the students, the system will analyze that video and suggest the questions that you can ask based on the video you have shown. So by doing so, you as a teacher now will be given effective ways to analyze the students. So it will give you what are the multiple choice questions you can give the students, what are the open-ended questions you can give the students, and what are the short answer questions you can give to the students. So by doing so, you'll see that all the abilities of the students will be catered. The short answers will demand the higher order level of Bloom's taxonomy, and the students now will be engaged either using the platform, or you can print that as a document and present to the learners. So that's one of the tools I'm using. The second tool I'm using is Canva, which is a very effective AI tool. For this one, I use it to create my own presentations and also to impart the AI ability in the learners. So if I am doing a lesson and I'm about to conclude that lesson, one thing the students know that they will do in my class is to come up with a presentation of their own to summarize what they have learned. So for them to come up with the presentation of their own, of course, they have access to a paid up Canva subscription. So they'll go into that system and create the PowerPoint presentation. Now, how is AI going to help them develop as learners? So they have to come up with a prompt that will analyze whatever they have been learning. So I'll give an example. If you are teaching maybe states of matter and you want them to come up with a presentation on how state of matter should be taught. So if they just say, create a presentation on state of matter, that will be a very big presentation. Now, if they feed in specific information they have learned, they are already sharing what they have learned with the system. So they will say, okay, instead of matter, talk about the fixed volumes, talk about the shapes, talk about the arrangements, talk about the motions. So the AI will now know what the student has captured in that lesson. Then it will now suggest the presentation that that student has been doing. Then it will generate the draft. Then you allow now the student to key in the information or personal information that spice up that presentation. So by doing so, the students have even another way of internalizing the information they have. So that is the second AI tool I have been using. I've also been using what they call Tommy Digital. Now, Tommy Digital is just another AI tool that is able to create an online class and online assessments where a student can be assessed in the real time. So this, with Tommy Digital, how the student is assessed, they have even integrated the a gamification method where when the student is answering, it could be science, maths, there will be even a small music which will be playing. And if the student gets the answer correct, it will cheer up for the students. If the student fails the question, it will say, oh, just like that. So the student is engaged in the game and also getting the information. So these are some of the AI tools that I am using. I'll just quickly highlight how I've trained some of the teachers to use AI, because I've just talked about science. One might say, oh, AI then is used just in science. So how can, take for instance, an English teacher use AI in education? So an English teacher can use AI in education by individualizing the potential each student has in the writing or reading skills. So I'll give an example. If the teacher is teaching composition, let's say descriptive composition, describe your favorite dish. So a student will describe that favorite dish. And then if you have AI facilities, you ask the student to put that work in digital. So when the student has put that work in digital form, you now open an AI tool that can analyze that work in class. So let's say, for example, ChatGPT, which is very popular and free to use. So the student will upload that information into ChatGPT. Then you can create a uniform prompt that students should ask in line with that information they have uploaded. So it could be like, analyze the weaknesses and the strengths of this paragraph I've just uploaded. So the AI tool will analyze the weaknesses and the strength of that AI tool based on the rubric which the teacher generated on how to mark AI. So by doing so, already the teacher is able to see the weaknesses of each student. So take for instance, if you have 80 students in your classroom, for you to read each and every composition, it will be very difficult. But if the student key in this information into this AI trained model, and the student is given immediate feedback. So the student will be told the strength in that composition. The student will be told the weaknesses in that composition. So the weaknesses, could it be grammar? Could it be sentencing? Could it be using of verbs or nouns? The AI tool will generate that summary. Then the student will focus on reading that summary and see areas in which he or she can improve next. So by doing so, you have used AI in your classroom and it has given even individualized feedback to each and every learner. So that is how language teachers are able to be trained and leveraging AI as they teach in their classrooms.
Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And also this, I'm actually just thinking, it's also taking away the load from the teachers. I'm just thinking, well, I used to be a high school maths teacher, and marking can be one of those things that can be time consuming. But now here is an opportunity for children or for learners to be able to get feedback in real time. So it actually takes away, that whole concept of what teachers have to carry work and they have to mark, then give feedback that takes long. For a change now, learners are able to get immediate feedback and immediate reinforcement, which then solidifies their learning experience. Truly, I think AI is a game changer. But the question is, how do you see the role of a teacher evolving in the new AI landscape? Because I keep saying the pedagogy of teaching needs to change. People cannot teach learners the way the way learners were taught in the 19th century, or even in the 20th century, because this is a 21st century learner who's got so many tools at their disposal. Let's then look at the new role that is emerging for the teacher in the AI dispensation.
Oh, yes. So to tell you the truth, that is one of the things people get afraid of when they hear of the new role of a teacher in this AI generation. Other people even think of AI is getting jobs from the teachers now. But to the contrary, AI is just making the teaching job interesting. So, what I see AI will do very soon is it will help almost every teacher to lessen their work and focus on what is real teaching. So already we have talked about how it can even individualize the responses to each and every student. Now think of it, if AI has done that, and a teacher now is able to see the feedback of each and every student. That means the teacher is able to see the need of each and every student. Not only that, the student also has already started to recognize the need or the areas in which they can work on. Now, when it comes to our African continent, AI is a serious game changer. I look at Africa as the hub of AI. Why do I say so? It's because with AI, we are able to have information in all the basic languages that we need.
So we're talking about how AI is changing the role of teaching, and you are also trying to contextualize it within the African context. How a teacher now can be able to leverage AI and the teaching experience for the learners within the African context. Do you just want to shed more light on that line of thought?
Yes. So I was saying when it comes to AI, Africa has the potential because we can have AI trained models that are able to understand different languages. For instance, in Africa or in Zambia, particular, we have 7 official languages that we teach in our systems. So if we are able to train AI to understand all the 7 local languages, we are saying that even in places where this language cannot be accessed in schools, AI is able to do that work. Not only that, if we have African driven AI models, we are going to even get more better results that we need. Because most of these models are trained outside Africa. They might not really give out the information that we need, most particularly as Africans. But if we can have these AI models that are trained by Africans, using them in Africa, it can be even more beneficial. So I look at AI as a game changer in education, which is going to give us more opportunities as educators to dive in and even generate more information for our continent.
That is absolutely beautiful. Let's look at the risks. What are the potential challenges and risks that come with the use of AI in education?
Oh, yes. So the risks are there, even if it might look to be very good, the risks are there. So I'll talk about some of the risks. The first one is biasness in AI. So last week I was just having a conversation. The way AI has been trained, it has certain biases. So if you apply maybe in a image generating AI tool to say, generate an image of a doctor and an image of a nurse, and you end there, the AI tool will generate a male doctor and a female nurse. So what has this AI tool been trained? It has been trained that a doctor is male, a nurse is female. So that is one of the bias. Already, this system is already showing that doctors should be male, nurses should be female. So if we expose learners to such a model, they'll already start thinking that, oh, because I'm female, I cannot be a doctor. So that is one of the bias which can be noticed in such models. The second bias is the information it generates. As already alluded to, AI is being trained outside Africa. So there are certain information that when we ask it, it can only give context that is outside Africa. It cannot solve Africa's immediate needs. Why? Because we have not yet trained it with the information which is in Africa. The other thing is hallucinations in AI tools. Most people have said, oh, this AI tool is dull, it has failed to answer the question. Well, that is very normal. AI can hallucinate. So, this is another challenge which we are going to experience with AI. Now, that challenge, it comes up with another potential outcome, which is for one to go to use AI tools, you should have something in your mind You don't just go and use the AI tool without any prior knowledge, such that you can now be able to detect the hallucinations in the information generated from AI. So these hallucinations can be minimized by now personalizing the work which has been generated by AI. Last but not the least is the ability of people failing to change to AI. That is another challenge which is now being faced. People are unwilling to change to AI. So where AI is already moving, people are not willing to change to AI. So this is another challenge which is being posed because the gap is continuing to increase. AI is moving, people are not moving. So these are some of the challenges that AI can bring out into our education system. In African context, we are talking of the access to the internet, but good to say that we have AI models that can work offline. So if we can have tools or like computers, we can have these digital tablets, we have now AI tools that can work offline. So that is another game changer in education where we do not really need to rely on the internet to ravage AI. We can work on AI even offline. So those are some of the challenges that AI is presenting currently.
Beautiful, beautifully explained. And that point that you raise is a very good point that there are AI models that can work offline because connectivity obviously remains a big challenge within the African context. And it's a barrier. It's seen as a barrier, and hence the need for more Africans to get involved in the development of these models so that we are able to create models that speak to our own context. So if you're an African and you understand that, connectivity is a challenge, you will naturally be inclined to create a model that is able to work even without connectivity. But if you're a person, that has no context, that there are people that live without internet, already the bias is there. When you create these models, you just assume everybody has access to connectivity. And you also talk about resistance, where AI is moving on but people are still resisting embracing it. That's a very important point to bring to the conversation because listen, there's no turning back when it comes to AI. AI is here and it's going to change life and work as we know it. In the same way that electricity, changed the landscape of the way people did life, the way people, worked. AI is also poised to even, impact at a greater level than electricity did. So, it's incumbent on people to just embrace, get onto the bus because the bus is moving and it's waiting for nobody. And for me, this is a passion of mine now when it comes to especially people on the African context to take this new dispensation seriously so that we can actually break ourselves free from the shackles of poverty and the challenges that have been on the African continent for centuries. Now, with AI, if we embrace it and we start leveraging it, we can start creating solutions that speak to the challenges that we sit with as a people. So, with that, now I would like us to talk about how can African educators and policymakers ensure that AI-driven education tools are culturally relevant and sensitive to the cultural context, because our agenda is to push for AI models that are relevant to the African contexts and the African cultural way of doing things as well.
Oh, yes. So, as you have already said, there are players that come in when it comes to our African context, like policymakers, people who are trained to develop these models. Now, all of us should come in and create models that can answer the African challenges. So this is a table where all of us can put in our information and what is needed for Africa. So policymakers will help the AI-driven environment to give policies that can regulate this environment. Those people who are trained in developing technology in AI will now have the opportunity to work around those policies. Remember, we don't want to have models that can harm people, models that can teach people how to create weapons. So policymakers will regulate all that issues. Not only that, we want models that can result in the national curriculum that drives the national culture. So if we have, take for instance, a model that is specifically for Zambian education system, the values and the culture of the Zambian education system will be put in that model such that whenever a student is interacting with that model, those values will be coming up in a way the responses are made. By doing so, these three players have come up and they are now working together to make a model that is able to be valued by the culture and is relevant for the community.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. As we start closing this conversation, let's now dive deep into looking at how AI is currently being used on the African continent. I would really love to hear your perspective on how AI is currently being used, and what examples are out there that stand out.
Oh, yeah. So in the African continent, we have certain countries that have already started revolutionizing the education system through AI. I know Nigeria has one of the good apps called Your Lesson app. Uh, this is an application which is highly generated, or it's a model that works on answering specifically the Nigerian curriculum education. So when you go on this app, it's AI driven. It gives you a lot of feedback about the Nigerian education, and Nigeria has already started doing that. Kenya, there is also an AI generated model which is already running in Kenya, and people have already started implementing these models in the classroom. In Kenya, there is a project, and this project is being funded by MasterCard. So you can see that Africa has already started uh, making models that are answering this AI need that we have in Africa. So we see a lot of countries coming up, and Zambia is not among those which are sleeping, which very soon we will see models that are specifically answering the Zambian need. Now, when you look at all these models that have been trained, I would highly recommend or see that when you look at all of them and see what has been done and how they were developed, you'll see those key players were just from mentioning the policymakers, the educators, and the people trained to develop this model came together and created a model that is relevant to education system. So even in Zambia, very soon, I'm sure we'll have a model that can relate to our Zambian education system.
Beautiful. We look forward to such. And let's look at the trends. Looking ahead, what trends do you see in the next 5, 10 years regarding to AI in education in Africa, and how should educators prepare for these changes?
Oh yes, so I like using this saying, which is very common: if you cannot defeat them, join them. And this is where AI has now reached. So we cannot defeat AI because AI is everywhere. Even the people are using smartphones. Smart AI is there. When you go to the hospital, AI is already there. The CT scans are already using AI to detect a lot of medical conditions. Now, it is very surprising that we are able to expose ourselves to AI in all these other environments, but we are resistant to expose ourselves to AI in education. That's why in the coming 5-10 years, we are going to see people revolutionizing and adapting to the use of AI in education. Now, what will this present? It will present an opportunity of people who are curious to continue developing their skills in AI. It will also give people to know many other ways in which education can be done. So I foresee 5-10 years from now, the African landscape, the use of AI in education will be changing and it will be in a better direction.
Beautiful, beautiful, and well said. I love that phrase. If you cannot defeat them, join them. There is no defeating AI. People just need to get on, embrace AI, and leverage it and move on. Well, Cleopas, you have brought so much value around AI in education. I have certainly enjoyed the conversation, and I've also learned a lot from you, who is indeed a practitioner that is using AI tools in education, in classroom teaching. So now, as we wrap up this conversation, do you have any closing remarks that you'd love to leave behind for our viewers and our listeners?
Oh, yes. So, one closing remark I would say is we don't want to be afraid of AI. AI is not getting the jobs for us teachers. In fact, AI is creating jobs for us teachers. That's how I look at it. It is creating more jobs because as we get in to be trained more and more the use of AI will even result in creating more jobs. So that's one of the things we should look out to. It's not getting our job. AI cannot do that, but it is simplifying our work. The second thing is I would like to see the environment where almost every teacher start to integrate AI in their classroom. The reason being is AI has more advantages than disadvantages when it comes to its use in the classroom. Of course, it takes time to be trained and become more equipped, but the investment is worth it. So I would encourage all the teachers in the African continent to continue using AI as they dive in their education systems.
Thank you so much. With that, we bring this conversation to an end. Until next time, it's ciao, ciao from us.
Thank you so much.